I'm just kidding. I always wanted to do one of those videos that you open with a sigh. You know, like one of those really depressive videos. There's nothing wrong, we're all good. So, this is a new thing that I'm thinking might be, I don't know, something I could do every month or someone else could do it. Kind of just like how we're going. I think it'll be interesting over time to track how we're doing. Maybe in like a year, look back on this video and think, oh, you were completely wrong about stuff. So I guess it's kind of like a weird blog thing about the channel, or maybe some other stuff that comes along. Nothing outrageous. I'll do some light editing to this, but I think I'm probably not the best editor we've got now. I'd say Connor's pretty good. If you watch the Sea of Thieves highlights video, he's got some good stuff going. So basically what it's going to be, we're going to talk about how things are going for us, what we could do better, what isn't working, and plans for the future, I guess. So we'll start with how it's going so far. We've been doing this for like a month-ish now. We've put out 4 podcast episodes. So the podcast is something that I think long-term is going to be a good backbone for us, to keep getting sort of eyes on us through different mediums, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, etc. The problem with it currently is that it's long-form stuff. So it's like an hour per episode, and obviously if you've not got a following, no new people are probably not going to jump on for an hour. So it is hard to engage new people with that. I feel like we just keep going with it. Eventually, if other videos, which we'll talk about later, bring viewership to the channel, then the podcast should, I think, grow with it. That's how I view it anyway. Obviously I'm not an expert, but I just think that it's good to keep that going and get the practice underway, so that when ideally we do have a viewership, the podcast is good at that point, because at the minute we're still ironing out a lot of kinks, a lot of audio stuff. I don't know how other people do sort of podcasts when you're not in the same place. We do a lot of we basically use Discord and then record our videos independently. Everyone sends all the stuff over to me and I edit it together. We've had a few problems with Discord dropping and stuff like that, so I've had to cut things out. So I'm learning the process of editing podcasts. It's not difficult, I'd be lying, but it's kind of time consuming, and I'm learning about, you know, making notes of time and stuff like that, and when things cut and when people start talking about other things. And I've kind of enjoyed learning how to host a podcast. Like there's times when you need to ask someone who's not spoken for a while something, or move on to another topic, etc, etc. And I'm still figuring out, we still have awkward pauses where I'm like, are we done talking about this yet? And sometimes I'm right and sometimes someone else chips in and I'm like, yeah, carry on. Like ideally for me, the podcast, like I shouldn't be speaking too much at all in the podcast. I should be just asking questions and then the other people speak. I'll chip in every now and again, but I foresee it in like 2 or 3 months we should have most of the kinks ironed out, and it's just a case of, here are our topics, here's maybe one big topic we talk about the games that are coming out, and if we have viewership at that point, then we'll read some comments or whatever. That's how I view the podcast being long term. I think that the podcast is going to grow. I just think we need to give that the most time out of anything, and we're not going to get many views on it for now. You can sort of play with the SEO. We've had some low, obviously relative to us, but some success with certain SEO, and depending on what's popular that week. So for example, our Kingdom Hearts one that came out last week didn't do well at all. We had a bit more success on the first ever one with the Resident Evil, but I assume that's a lot of people clicking on. And the Sea of Thieves episode did alright as well. We're having a bit of strange stuff happening with YouTube. I assume it's happening to everybody, where our videos stats don't show, like viewership doesn't show accurately on the channel page, but it does in the analytics. So for example, Connor's Dragon Ball videos, which did really well for us, basically it was stuck on like 40 views for ages, which is still a lot for us considering. And then we kind of went into the studio and it jumped up significantly. So that is currently our highest viewed video on 187, and that has basically dragged in a lot of the traction. And I know that we knew beforehand that like a trailer reaction sort of thing would work pretty well, considering it came out pretty much exactly when the Dragon Ball tournament happened or anything like that. So as soon as that went out, we got some decent traction off that. The problem that I think we now need to figure out is turning stuff like that gets some kind of traction into subscribers and into regular viewers. I guess that just comes with practice and getting better at making videos and getting better at asking people to subscribe and stuff like that. It's going to be a long process. We're going to have like weeks like this where it was quiet, we all had stuff going on. Everyone was playing Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm very not far into it. I basically just got to the Toy Story world. Great game, but I don't want to rush it. Even though Connor and Rob have beat it and want to do the discussion video that I promised we would do on the podcast, which we will do. Or they can do it without me, that's fine. So yeah, content-wise for YouTube, we're still in a process of figuring what we want to do and what works best for us and what works best to grow, because it's kind of a weird compromise where we want to do things that we enjoy, but they're not necessarily going to help us grow the most. So things like reactions will probably help us get the most traction, the most initial viewership. But people with reactions tend to click on, watch that reaction, and then just click off for the most part. Obviously, there's some people that have made careers out of reaction videos, but I don't think that's us at all. I think we stick to our sort of long form-ish content and highlight content. And we did pretty well with a recent video that Connor did with a Sea of Thieves sort of highlights video. I think that is a good idea that we should keep doing. I think we should be keeping sort of content separate and uploading these highlights, but I think we should have a like a YouTube set of content and a Twitch set of content. We can obviously intermingle that work like Connor's done there, which makes it viable for YouTube, but I really don't want to start uploading VODs and stuff like that, which I think most people agree with. I think we should sort of keep it separate. Apart from that, I mean, we've got Sam's Dark Souls series going on. Again, the weird thing is with this is that I foresee, like, if we start getting viewership, this is content that people who do actually enjoy what we do or whatever would go back and watch. But it's not stuff like Dark Souls 3 is not stuff that a lot of people are currently searching. Like, most people have already got the fix of Dark Souls 3 or have specific channels that they watch Dark Souls content on. Maybe one day we can be one of those channels. We have like 6 people who play Dark Souls. I'm not one of them, I really don't like it. But maybe one day we can have a sort of series like that would do really well for us. Like, for example, the IGN UK one, the guys who've just separated with Creeper and all those, they've basically made their own back off that Dark Souls series, which is good, but they were already well known, you know what I mean? Like, they already had viewership, which is fine. We're obviously not expecting anything like that, but it's just a case of figuring out the sort of middle balance between how we grow, what we can do to grow, and what we can do for fun. Which, obviously fun is the most important thing. We are taking it seriously, but we're not taking it like, oh, this is our lives now. It's not just a hobby. But I think it makes it more interesting when you do try. You do try and make it a success, so that's why we're putting our podcast on actual like iTunes, Spotify, paying for the hosting, that sort of thing. Just to try and make it's good for us to grow ourselves and grow better at what we want to do. Things like our CV, it makes our CV a little better, basically. If we get the viewership on top, that's a bonus, but for now it's kind of a case of learning, improving our skills in loads of different areas. So for example, speaking publicly is difficult for me, so stuff like this is helpful. Editing videos is fairly new to me. I've been working on animation in my actual job-ish a bit, but I'm doing more of that here, which is useful for me. Photoshop, I'm practicing, which is useful. Recording a podcast is something I've always wanted to do. Editing all that together, sound editing the podcast, it's lots of new skills that I'm learning, and I think most other people here feel the same, that they're all learning stuff and enjoying what they're doing, which is kind of what I wanted when I suggested that we do it. It's something that we can all take from and learn from. That's the plan anyway. Obviously some people will do less or more than others. That's perfectly fine. Whatever you want to do is fine. I guess it's just what you want to get out of it. It's one of those classic what you put in is what you get out. I think it's difficult to say where everyone wants it to end up. I think it would be cool if we get some, like just a small core audience that would watch and comment on things, and we can have a little community on Twitch and stuff like that. So I guess we'll talk. I've kind of mentioned about what isn't working for us, which is, you can technically say the podcast isn't, Sam's Dark Souls series isn't, but it doesn't matter because things aren't expected to work for us at this point. It's more of a case of practicing and learning and getting experience in these things, and maybe that content will then pick up later on if we do get an audience. That's my thinking anyway behind it. I don't think we should stop doing any of those things unless Sam wants to stop his Dark Souls, or I'm not stopping the podcast. I think the podcast is good in my opinion. Obviously we're new, but I think it's got the promise to be good, and obviously the viewership is low, but that's going to happen at this point. And Connor is doing really well with his own sort of one-off videos, which he said that he wanted to do, and it's working so far. It's doing well for us. So I think everyone is going to sort of slip into where they fit and what they want to do, and hopefully everyone will have one thing that they feel proud that they can sort of work on in their own time or whatever they want to do, and upload things onto the channel or stream on Twitch. So I guess we'll talk about Twitch. Twitch is something that me and Connor have talked about, specifically being a big sort of. At first we thought it would be the big avenue for us, basically because we thought that it would be easier to get viewership on Twitch by playing smaller games, which it is. You can get people drop in on smaller games, but obviously we started playing Sea of Thieves basically literally by coincidence, the exact time that Summit started playing, and so we still play Sea of Thieves, but obviously at the minute it's super crowded on Twitch. You basically can't get in. We're so far down the page, but that's fine. That's just how it works. In a few weeks or months, it'll slip down, and we'll probably be able to pick up some people when we play Sea of Thieves, which is great. The difficult part with us with Twitch is the schedule. So there's 8 members, I think, yeah, and we want to include everyone in these streams at some point. And so with that in mind, the schedule was like, I think it's currently sat on 5 days a week, and that's the only day that we want as many people as possible is Sundays. Apart from that, it can be anything. So it could be one person streaming, it could be 3 people playing Sea of Thieves, it could be a Smash tournament that we want to do, or playing with viewers, that sort of thing. But the problem is that we just can't, it's hard. So only about 3 or 4 of us have decent enough internet to really stream from their computer, and then with that in mind, you'll get some people who just not feeling it that day, which is fine, or something crops up, and then the problem with it is, I feel like we need to commit to our schedule, and if it's 5 days a week and that's too much, we'll bring it down to 3 days or 2 days, whatever. I think Sunday will always stay as a group stream, and I think maybe 2 days during the week would be good. Friday and maybe another day, and then I feel like that's the best way for us to grow consistently. I know that consistency is the key to Twitch from what I've read and heard and spoke to people about. It's something that, again, I've always wanted to do. I think Connor's always wanted to do it, which he's doing on his own channel as well at the same time. And it's going to be one of those things that, as I've mentioned about 1 billion times, takes a lot of time. And eventually, we've got a few people now that drop in consistently, and we raid them and they raid us and we say hello, and really cool. That's probably the best part of it, meeting other smaller streamers and helping each other grow is cool. That's what we want to do. That's why we want to do it, to sort of just build a community and be part of a community. And maybe we can have that going forward pretty soon. we streamed yesterday and we had a raid and we racked up to about 16 viewers, which is pretty big for us on Sea of Thieves. So we were probably about 4 or 5 rows down at that point, which is pretty good for us. 4 or 5 rows. And it's just one of those things where like we need to keep doing it, keep getting better at it as we go. Rob has done a lot of good work on the streams for us. He's basically, again, it's another nightmare where we want to show webcams. We want to have our webcams on. Again, we're using Discord for that. The problem with Discord's video chat at the minute is that if you have, you'll notice on our streams that we have it in like a box that's like there. And with this box, basically what Rob's done is he's cut window captures or display captures out of all of our cameras in the Discord video call. And the problem is when somebody joins, it completely changes the sizes of everybody's webcams, and so Rob has to go back and do it again. And if you don't have a webcam on, which is fine again, then it still shows them in a massive box. You can't just choose to tap people on and off, which is annoying. Hopefully Discord will sort that. I'm sure it's not a priority for them to cater to people like us, but it's something that would be helpful. If anyone knows any kind of sort of cross, like, you know, voice chat, video chat software that's useful. I don't really like Skype. Google Hangouts doesn't seem to do the job for us because of how it sort of puts people in the bottom rows. We need everyone to be equal size boxes, basically. But we want to have webcams on because we know that that's a lot of people aren't going to watch a Twitch stream that doesn't have a webcam on. And so we've all basically bought new webcams. We're in the process of sorting out, like, you know, lighting and stuff like that, and getting better microphones, and we're all taking it seriously, which is cool. But growing is difficult. It's something that's going to take a lot of time for us. But we'll get there. We're having fun. Again, Twitch, I think, is for me where I have the most fun. Just chilling out, playing some games, talking to chat, whoever pops in. Then the podcast for me, and then I want to start doing video essays, which I've done in the past, 1 or 2. I really enjoy doing those. It's just thinking of topics and then writing the script and delivering it. It's for me, it won't be a lot of work because I'm not as good as the people who put loads of effort in it and really make a concise video with lots of edits and cool features. I would probably just talk over a few clips that are obviously related. But I do enjoy doing that, and I do think there's still a space for that sort of content. And then obviously we want to start doing reviews, discussions, spoiler discussions. So Kingdom Hearts is or was going to be our first one. It probably still will be. I guess that if that's without me, it could probably be out this week. If it's with me, I don't know when I'm finishing that game. I have so much to do, but I mean, I can probably get through it in the next week or 2. I don't think it's that long. It's like 30 hours, right? Which I was kind of disappointed in. I thought it would be like 60 at this point. That's fine. But yeah, we want to do more reviews and discussions and stuff like that. And we've got stuff in the works that we're planning on, you know, regular things, but we need, I think the difference is the regular stuff is not going to be our big attraction at this point. It's going to be the one-off stuff that's relevant and relevant for the time and what people are searching. So Connor's stuff at the minute is obviously our most relevant and useful videos for the channel. But that doesn't mean we're going to sacrifice the stuff that we want to do in the regular content, because that's what keeps the channel alive, keeps it going. We've done, like, we must be on about 10, this is terrible math, at least like 10 to 15 videos at this point in the past month. But we're getting stuff out. I want a more regular schedule for YouTube though. I want us to be uploading at least 3 videos a week. I think currently we usually do at least 2, but we need at least 3, ideally 4 going forward. But we don't want to oversaturate, you know. It's more a case of us at the minute is of practice and getting out good quality, for, you know, relatively to us, good quality stuff, and always improving on what we can. So stuff like the design, or like immediately changed. I just realised that I didn't like it, and so we redesigned the branding, redesigned the thumbnails. I think most people think that it looks a lot better now. We had, you know, inner discussions about what's good and what's not, and we've settled on stuff that most of us like now, I feel like it makes the whole channel look more professional and more consistent. And I look forward to sort of seeing how we grow in the future. Maybe this time next month I'll do another one of these and things will be exactly the same probably. I won't have that much to talk about, but maybe in 6 months or a year we'll have actually progressed a decent amount and learnt a lot. Maybe not have any viewership or anything, but we'll definitely be better at what we're doing. We'll definitely have way more skills and stuff that we can sort of be proud of and show off. And that's kind of the whole goal, I guess, of this, is just to be proud of doing something and have something that we're passionate about doing outside of work. Give us something to do when we go home, and instead of just like sitting around, because we basically just did what we're doing now. When we got home we just chill out, play some games, but now we have a sort of purpose to doing it, and it's more interesting and it's fun to like look at stats and look at how we can improve and stuff like that. And I just think that in the future it's going to be cool to look back on these videos, maybe that I do or someone else can do, maybe every month, and like a sort of how we're feeling, what are we think about the channel, what we can update, what we think we can improve, and then look back on this in like 6 months and say, oh yeah, you were completely wrong, you're an idiot, or you were right, that's exactly what we need to do. So I'll pump these out probably once a month, just talking into the camera. Really, it's a bit garbage, isn't it? But who cares? It's my channel, it's our channel, we'll just do what we want. So thanks for watching. If you are new here, give us any tips if you have any about growing your YouTube channels, your Twitch channels, what you found worked for you. And obviously, I'm going to chill us out. Subscribe to us, follow us on Twitch. We stream currently, probably I'd say on average like 3 times a week, even though it should be 5. Follow us on Twitter at the Galago Boys. Follow me on Twitter at Zacherhy, Zaceihy. And apart from that, I'll probably see you in a month for another one of these. Boy.